The Pickleball Show is brought to you by PBX Club. PBX stands for Pickleball Excellence. Join today and get the latest pickleball tips and strategies, news and opinion. Save money on paddles and other equipment with coupon codes to online pickleball retailers. Get travel discounts to tournaments and a whole lot more. How much does it cost to become a PBX Club member? Well, it's free. Just go to freepbxclub.com. That's freepbxclub.com. There's even a link in the show notes for this episode. freepbxclub.com. PBX Pickleball Excellence. Join the club. It's free.
Hello, my name's Wayne Mugley, pickleball lover, and here's the host of the Pickleball Show, Chris Allen.
Thank you, Wayne, and welcome to the show dedicated to helping you play better pickleball while having even more fun and meeting new friends who share your passion for this great sport. My name is Chris Allen, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today and also thank everyone who has been sharing the links to the show via social media and telling other folks who play in your local club about the Pickleball Show. We really, really do appreciate your support. All right, let's see whose paddles are in the fence today. Joining us from the west coast of the United States in California, it is the pickleball guru himself, Mr. Prem Carnot. Prem, thank you for joining us again this week.
Thanks for having me again here, Chris. I truly enjoy being on your show. You're a wonderful host.
Well, thank you. And you've got so many great things happening. Your book, Smart Pickleball, which is available on Amazon.com and better bookstores everywhere. That book is just one of the most informative guides you could ever read. Now, you've got something brand new that is the Ratings and Goals Guide. And this is an important thing because a lot of people, they don't know where they rank. It's like, I don't know. I just show up and I play, and a lot of people, they're not maybe they're not playing tournaments yet, and they don't have a lot of feedback as to where they stand, and you've developed an easy way that somebody can evaluate themselves online. Tell us more about that.
Absolutely, Chris. I have developed a very simple strategy of saying yes and no to a certain number of questions, which will be put out there, and it will actually easily guide you to knowing where exactly you situate yourself in the rating grid. And then once it's sort of self-assessed, but it's also mostly because it's a yes and no, and it's a flow chart, and people can really assess it. There's already over 1,000 people who have already gone through the guide and been able to figure out where they are. The most important part to it is once they figure out where they are, then I give them certain goals to attain. So, okay, now you know what level you are. So here are a certain number of things I would like you to do, not only drills, which will take you to the next level. Mm-hmm. It's free and it's accessible to anyone who wants it. It's called the Ratings and Goals, and ratings with an S and goals.com, and you will find all the information you need about that. And it's pretty straightforward.
ratingsandgoals.com, and that'll take you right there, and it is absolutely free. Now, let's say that somebody logs in, they go through the self-assessment, and they say, okay, I'm a 3.5. I really want to be a 4.0. What are some of the things that you advise them to go from a 3.5 to a 4.0?
Basically, once from a 3.5 to 4.0, it's about getting into the consistency factors of your certain parts of the game. From a 3.5, you might know the rules of the game. You already know certain aspects. You get your serves most of the time. Mm-hmm. And
you know which end of the paddle to hold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a very good one to have. And so once you know certain factors, and now you want to move to the next level in terms of how many times you get the ball over the net on the other side, be it your passing shots, or be it your drop shots, or your ding shots, whatever the shots you are playing, is to get into the consistency factor. So from a 3.5 to 4.0, it might be, you get at least 10 to 15 balls over the net. So if you're getting to the 4.0, we have to try and make it even more. So you'll have to try and get these shots into where you're hitting more than 20 or 25 shots. Mm-hmm. From a 4.0 to 4.5 and 4.5 to 5.0, it's a lot more about consistency and a lot more about mental focus and, being in a position where you hit more balls over the net. And the simplest way I can explain it is a few years ago, I had a conversation with a famous tennis player. I was asking him what was the difference that he won so many Grand Slam titles. He told me something which was very interesting. He simply said that all I did was to put one more ball over the net. His answer was very simple, but that actually tells you more about the consistency factors. And he was not very fancy to watch, but he was definitely very consistent in terms of how many titles he won. But I'm not really focusing on the question of titles, but I'm really definitely, if you want to be more consistent, you want to move to the next level, you've got to have to hit more balls, keep the ball in play, keep hitting more balls across the net. So that means that, as people would say, it's the last man standing. Keep the ball in play. And in terms of drills, there's a lot of drills in the guides which gives you, but one of the examples I can give you is when you're at the kitchen line or the non-volley zone, you hit more balls, like say, for example, you're just dinking across the net and you would want to dink at least, about 50 to 60 times so that you get consistent with the dinks.
There's a gentleman down in the Villages, and he's been on the show, Jeff Shank, who has what I think is one of the most informative free resources ever on pickleball. It's his blog. Love reading those tips, and one of the things that he said in there when he was talking with Tim Nelson one time, Tim Nelson said that the only difference between a 4.5 and a 5.0 is shot selection. There's nothing physical, their abilities are really identical, but shot selection is really what separates a 4.5 or a 5.0 from a 4.5. And was wondering what your thoughts on that are.
That's a pretty accurate statement. I actually even say not only between a 4.5 and a 5.0, I actually say between a 4.0 and a 4.5 and a 5.0. All three of them, in terms of skill level, there's not much of a difference. Absolutely no difference as far as I'm concerned. I think all three of that level players have pretty much the same skill. Then it comes down to consistency and shot selection, as Jeff mentioned or Tim mentioned. It is absolutely accurate statement in terms of shot selection. And that shot selection comes with the fact that you get more consistent. The more consistent you are with the ball, then more control you have over the ball, more easier it is to direct the ball where you want to go when you have to make the decision of hitting a winner. Most times when you're trying to hit a winner, it happens mostly when you're opened up the court by moving your opponents into a direction where you have the open court. And Tim Nelson is a very good example. If you watch most of his games, like many of the top players in the country, most of them will hit most winners right down the middle between the two players when they have split them out.
Yeah, they've opened up that hole in the middle, and then they just take advantage of it.
Absolutely. So, in fact, that's again a simple strategy. It's not about trying to hit the cutest shot, but hitting the best possible shot. And most of the time, the best possible shot is right in the middle between the players. Not in the middle of the court, but between the players.
Now, one of the things that when Jeff and I were talking, I said I get frustrated sometimes with drilling because I often feel like drilling doesn't really help me with my shot selection. I can drill and I can consistently hit this shot over and over again, but if it's the wrong shot, that doesn't really matter. I think to myself, well, great, I just hit the wrong shot perfectly. And how do you teach shot selection, or how do you learn besides just playing over and over again? I mean, how do you drill shot selection?
How do you drill shot selection? And I teach these in my VIP intensive classes most of the time. Is mostly when you're trying to drill, and you get your shots into consistency factor, and then once you get more consistent with it, the shot selection will come easily and naturally by the time you start moving your opponents. The key is to move your opponents and give them giving you the opening. So the best way to do that is to keep drilling, and then once you start drilling, like maybe the dinks or cross-court dinks or straight-up dinks, whatever it is, you want to shift and make your opponents give that gap between them. Once you have the gap, your shot selection is pretty simple, straightforward in between them.
It's sort of a two-step process. You're creating the opportunity at first, and then you're taking advantage of the opportunity. That's step two.
Absolutely.
It's not all about just that one single, winner, quote unquote, shot. It's about a whole method, maybe a 2 or 3 step method where you're kind of the director and you're saying, all right, you stand over here, and then player number 2, you stand over here, and now I've got the exact opening that I want, and then I take advantage of it.
That's absolutely right. That's what Jeff is talking about, the shot selection. That's the biggest key there. The shot selection will come naturally because you already have the skill at that level. It's only a question of where you place it.
It can almost be, well, I need this shot to get this person over here, and then I need this shot to get that person over there, and then I can make my winner shot right down between them.
Absolutely. And that means sometimes you might have to hit that shot 10 times, 20 times. And a perfect example would be like doing a crosscourt ding, and you keep doing that maybe 20, 30 times and see if the partner, along with the person who you're targeting, is moving along. If the person is not moving, then you know you've got the opening you want.
Good explanation. That's very well said. Thank you for that. Again, if you want to self-assess and see where you rate, you can go to ratingsandgoals.com, and you can pick up Prem's Ratings and Goals Guide, as well as take the test and then get the drills and tips that you need to take yourself to the next level. And again, that's ratingsandgoals.com. Prem, that's terrific. Thank you for developing that system.
Thank you much, Chris. I appreciate all that you're doing on your side too, and it's great to be on your show always, and it's great to hear all other experts out there who give wonderful tips.
Before we go, though, I wanted to point out too, because people who enjoy podcasts, they enjoy listening to things and getting information via the spoken word. And another exciting thing that you have is a new audiobook version of Smart Pickleball.
Segment 3, a good drop shot. When we come back together for our last exercise of the day, I say, well, we've covered the first 2 shots of the point with the serve and return of serve. Now, tell me, what would you say is the ideal third shot? People call out a lob shot, a hard drive down the middle, a hard drive down the line, a drop shot? All right. And to quote, or perhaps misquote, the legendary Mark Frydenberg, the third shot is whatever you need it to be, depending on where your opponents are. If your opponents are staying back, a hard drive might work. If you're caught off balance and a lob is all you can hit, so be it. But if you're playing against good players who are up at the net before you even hit your shot, you're dealing with what I and the man who taught me the game call the critical third shot. So let's see how some of your responses hold up for that critical third shot. I call up a volunteer who is about my size and height and say, let's start with the lob shot. We stand at the kitchen line and I ask the volunteer to hold up his paddle as high in the air as he can while I do the same. I show how either of us can easily take 2 steps backwards from the kitchen line and we can cover about 8 feet of vertical space with no problem, blocking off most of the court. For the opponents to hit over us and still land in, they really have to hit a perfectly executed lob, which is not an easy task. It's not a high percentage shot. Of course, against players who are less mobile, you may get away with it. But in terms of playing smart pickleball against better players, it's not a great strategy. So let's look at a hard drive down the middle or down the sideline. I'll ask my volunteer to join me again at the kitchen line. We have our paddles up and in the ready position. Then we take turns, extending our paddles as far left and right as we can reach. Together, we can cover well over 75% of the width of the court when we are at the kitchen line. I point out that if you're playing against opponents who are ready at the net, they'll just return a hard shot back at you as fast or faster than you hit it at them. A hard shot, whether it's down the line or the middle, violates the number 1 rule of smart pickleball. Remember, it doesn't buy you any extra time to get ready for the next shot. So, no hard shots for the third shot. Now, on to the next suggestion, the drop shot. If my volunteer partner and I are standing up at the kitchen line with our paddles at the ready, and someone hits a drop shot that lands inside the kitchen, it forces us to let the ball bounce. During the time it takes to bounce, the opponents have just bought themselves plenty of time to get up to the net and prepare for the next shot. That's playing smart pickleball.
I got mine the day that it came out via audible.com, and great job on that. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it has definitely came out of a lot of queries from a lot of students who were asking that was there an audio version so that I could listen that while I'm driving and I could still be able to listen to it.
It's fun even when you're driving to the courts because obviously you don't want it. A little dangerous to have your Kindle edition of Smart Pickleball and reading it while you're driving. You don't want to do that. But this way you can listen to it and kind of get into that mindset. And then you arrive at the courts and you are raring to go.
Absolutely. It's a very wonderful edition.
The more ways you absorb something, the more it sticks with you, too. If you read it and then you hear it, that's just another avenue to get into your brain. I've enjoyed mine, and it's nice because I do have the Kindle version of Smart Pickleball and now the Audible version. And between those two, boy, when it's time to show up to the court, I am set.
Perfect.
And we'll link to that in the show notes as well. And Prem, we look forward to talking to you again. Thank you for your time today. And again, that's ratingsandgoals.com and also the audiobook version of Smart Pickleball, which is available at audible.com, amazon.com as well. Prem, look forward to talking to you again, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate all you do.
And as always, we'd like to thank you for joining us today as well. Do you have an opinion about what we discussed today? Maybe a suggestion, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss here on the Pickleball Show? Well, we'd love to hear from you. Email us anytime at mail@pickleballshow.com. That's mail@pickleballshow.com. You'll find us on Facebook too, facebook.com/pickleballshow, twitter.com/pickleballshow, and don't forget about the good old website. It's pickleballshow.com. Also, head over to iTunes if you get a chance. Hit that subscribe button. You'll never miss an episode. And if you feel it's appropriate, go ahead and leave us one of those coveted 5-star reviews, which boosts us up in the rankings and makes it so much easier for other pickleball players around the world to find the show. I'm Chris Allen. This is the Pickleball Show. And until next week, keep 'em low. The Pickleball Show is brought to you by PBX Club. PBX stands for Pickleball Excellence. Join today and get the latest pickleball tips and strategies, news and opinion. Save money on paddles and other equipment with coupon codes to online pickleball retailers. Get travel discounts to tournaments and a whole lot more. How much does it cost to become a PBX Club member? Well, it's free. Just go to freepbxclub.com. That's freepbxclub.com. There's even a link in the show notes for this episode. freepbxclub.com. PBX Pickleball Excellence. Join the club. It's free.